All right, this is the copyright disclaimer. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. And this video is not for any monetary gain. It is explicitly for the reasons stipulated in the Copyright Act of 1976 under Section 107.
Israel's a miracle.
I stand with Israel.
I stand with Israel.
I stand with Israel.
I stand with Israel today and every day.
I stand with Israel.
I stand with Israel today, tomorrow, and every day after that.
Sir, may we ask you, America first or Israel first? Sir, don't be scared, sir. There's nothing to worry about, sir. Sir, boo! He's got good composure. Sir. He skipped out on his real floor, sir. This is not even your floor, bro. Excuse me, good brother. America first or Israel first? America first is oozing off you, bro, but if you can't say it, you're not a real American, sir. Come on, short stuff. Come on, short stuff.
Do you care more about the American people or Israel as a member of Congress?
I don't think they're mutually exclusive, Frankie.
Can you elaborate?
They're our best ally.
United States or Israel, sir? No answer? Should we put you down for Israel? Do you care about more the American people or Israel? It's an easy one. American people or Israel?
Sir, may we ask you, America first or Israel first? Sir, don't be scared, sir. There's nothing to worry about, sir. He skipped out on his real floor, sir. This is not even your floor, bro. Excuse me, sir. America first or Israel first? Come on, sir. You answer right, you might have a future in this town, bro. You'll never be anywhere in politics without having a backbone and a spine, sir. Chicken. Sir, America first or Israel first? Sir, America first or Israel first? That's an easy one. I'm a staffer. You're a staffer? You're a chicken, boy. Sir, you look incredibly powerful. May we ask you, America first or Israel first?
Israel.
Israel before America, sir? So, you know, I'm a Christian from Bethlehem, Palestine. Do you have any message for the Christians in Bethlehem, Palestine?
I think it's a miserable situation that the Christians in Bethlehem, Palestine are in, have been in for decades.
Oh, yeah? Thank you. Who's behind it? People like you?
Have you seen the dude in the hallways of Congress asking the congressmen and women, America first or Israel first? And have you seen them cower in fear at the thought of even answering that in public? Like, what the hell's going on here? Like, I'm an American congressman. America first. I work for the American people. No, so they're scared. Like, what the hell's going on here?
I know it's difficult to hear, but it's time to limit the First Amendment in order to protect it, and quickly before it's too late.
What do you mean?
I mean that we need to control the platforms, all the social platforms. We need to stack rank the authenticity of every person that expresses themselves online and take control over what they are saying based on that ranking.
The government.
The government should
control the social media.
Yeah. I know it's difficult to hear, but it's time to limit the First Amendment in order to protect it, and quickly before it's too late.
What do you mean?
I mean that we need to control the platforms, all the social platforms. We need to stack rank the authenticity of every person that expresses themselves online and take control over what they are saying based on that ranking.
The government.
The government should
control the social media.
Yeah.
All right, Shalom. We are the Hebrew Israelites from the Indianapolis branch of the Great Millstone, and we're here to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rahakakadash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of the Great Millstone who rule well in teaching us this 100% truth. Salutations to them and our fellow Akim who labor in this truth week in and week out on the highways and byways. Also, salutations to the hopeful elect of the scattered 12 tribes of Israel, scattered to the four corners of the earth, that be like unto the speckled bird, also known as your Israelite foreigners, and you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. To you, we say Shalom.
Shalom.
All right, we got this article here from a news break, and this has been going viral. It actually it happened yesterday on the 2nd of January 2026. All right, and it's from Newsbreak. It's goes through the New York Post, I believe, the main source. But it says Israeli tech billionaire Shlomo Kramer urges Americans to limit the First Amendment, sparks outrage. All right, and at the beginning of the lesson, you know, we showed you where Congress actually stands, okay, in doing this. All right, it's clear that, you know, the government is compromised, point blank period. There's no other way around it, okay? And the fact that he's urging this, they're going to find a way to do it, okay, to limit the First Amendment. But in order to limit the First Amendment, that has to go through a process. And I'm going to read this to you. This is from Google. And it says, to change a U.S. constitutional amendment, it must first be proposed by either 2/3 vote in both the House of Congress or a national convention held by 2/3 of the states. Okay, and we know, based on those videos where all those congressmen said what they said or wouldn't say, wouldn't answer that guy, you know, we know which way they're headed. All right, and then they made it clear who they stand with. So that's the way it's going to happen. Okay, it says, or a national convention called by 2/3 of the states. That's not going to happen. All right, that's going to take too long. So it'll be by the House of Congress, you know, if they do it. Okay, it says then ratified by 3/4, 38 of the states through their legislatures or special conventions. A difficult multi-step process ensuring a broad consensus. And okay, we know that that's not going to happen either. Okay, because this, you know, they're talking about doing a lot of things by 2025 and then 2030. Okay, a lot of stuff has happened. However, they're going to move faster than that. They don't want the people involved, because the whole purpose of this thing is to control the people. All right, the First Amendment, limit the speech. So based on what those congressmen said at the beginning of this video and what this Shlomo said, you know, they're going to make it happen. You know, that the U.S. government is compromised. This is 2 Corinthians 2:11. And it says, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. Okay? Based on what that guy said and where we know Congress stands. I mean, that guy was in the halls of Congress asking them, who do they stand with? You know, and they wouldn't answer. That's very clear. That's very clear. All right? But we know one thing's for sure. When you start doing stuff like that to the people, you know, that's going to go into that sedition among men. You want to grab that?
Yeah, I also have that word, devices.
Go ahead.
It says it's the Greek word noema, and here in the outline of biblical usage, it reads a mental perception, thought, and evil purpose, that which thinks, the mind, thoughts, or purposes.
And like you said, an evil purpose. The cat is out of the bag on the tiny hats. Okay? Okay? We know who you are, Amalek, and you cannot get away from that. Even though rabbis, you wanted to call people Esau. You are Esau too. You are the head tribe of Esau, according to Numbers 24 and 20. You know, you cannot get away from this. All right? And the only way you're going to stop, because it's really the prophets of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai that you all are afraid of. Okay? These are the ones exposing you, proving that you're not the people of the scriptures. All right? So, we like the scriptures say, we are not ignorant of your devices. Every move you make, we're on top of it. And that's through Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. Okay? He said he's going to let us know. Before things happens, he's going to tell us. What's that, Isaiah 42 and 9? Hold on for a second. Let me grab that real quick. The book of Isaiah, chapter 42. And I'll start at verse 8. Okay? So you'll know who it's talking about. It says, verse 8, and it reads, I am Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, that is my name, and my glory will I not give to another, neither my praise to graven images. Okay? This is the Lord. It's, everything is about him and his will. All right? Through his son. All right? This is verse 9. It says, behold, the former things are come to pass, and new things do I declare. Before they spring forth, I tell you of them. All right? So he's given us the eyesight to see all these things put together, put them together and tell our people what it means, tell the world what it means. All right? Prophesy against this devil. All right? Because that's exactly who he is. The wicked, according to Malachi 1 and 4. Esau, Edom, which includes you tiny hats, okay? Like this guy, Shlomo Kramer. He's one of them, all right? That's all.
Yeah, I still got that second Ezra 15 you called for. This is second Ezra chapter 15 and verse 16. It says, for there shall be sedition among men and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power.
Yeah, because and that's the thing. While they're controlling you from over there, you're left here. What are you going to do when the people come after you? All right? They're not going to protect you. You've done what they wanted you to do. All right? But the reality is you're suckers, That's what it is. You sold out your country for some money, okay? And it's not going to end well. It is not going to end well because you have some military people, veterans, who are hardcore about that Constitution. All right, hardcore about it, and they will come after you. All right, so whenever you do what you, and then the way stuff is going now, it's not hard to find you all either. You got some real savvy people out there. They will find out where you live, where your family is. And you doing stuff like that, man. I wouldn't want to be in that situation, constantly looking over my shoulder all the time. But that's what you're all about to do. That was a telltale sign. The fear that was on those people's faces when that guy asked them that question, and they couldn't answer, or they wouldn't answer. All right, because there's a penalty with it. All right, go ahead.
Reading on, or did you want some more to that?
Yeah.
Yep. It says verse 17. It says, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able, for because of their pride, the city shall be destroyed, the houses shall be, for because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid.
And that's the thing, you're going to desire to go into the city. Once those uproars of the people happen, or that sedition, that rebellion against authority, once that happens, they're going to have to call for martial law. Okay? And then we know what this guy is talking about, when we get into the article, this is all about, controlling the narrative.
Yep.
But you lost that. You lost that in 2023 on October 7th. Everybody saw what you all were doing. Everybody saw. All right? And you can't change that. You are not the Israelites, the people of the chosen people of the Bible.
precept.
Go ahead.
Yeah, this is Isaiah chapter 25 and verse 7. It says, "And he will destroy in this mountain the face of the covering cast over all people, and the veil that is spread over all nations." See, which also the Lord Yahweh by Shemiah Shai is pulling back that veil, or revealing, right, who Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, truly is according to the scriptures. Like, as the apostles, beginning with the apostles and elders, great millstone, right, the elders and bishops and brothers that come up under them, we always tell you that ultimately the so-called white man is indeed the devil, right, that the Bible speaks of. You see, in these last days, Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, all his wickedness, it's all being exposed, man.
Yep.
It's being exposed that he's the reason for all the problems in the planet Earth, right? That he's the main one causing chaos and confusion, right, and evil within the planet Earth, man. You see it, and he can't hide that, and as Pops is going into, even though he's trying to control the narrative, he can't do that no more.
Nope.
Because the spirit of the Lord Yahweh Bashmiah Shai is on his ass, man. You know, the Lord ain't letting up on this devil, man. You see, and it's gonna keep coming out that you are indeed the devil that the Bible speaks of, and that you are indeed, right, the root of all the world's problems.
This is book of Jeremiah 49, and let's go to verse 10, and it reads, "But I have made Esau bare, I have uncovered his secret places. He shall not be able to hide himself. His seed is spoiled, his brethren, his neighbors, and he is not." So eventually this exposure, ultimately is going to render your judgment, okay, via Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. All right, and like it says, your seed is spoiled. Okay, that's your lineage, including your brethren. Okay, that's all of Edom. Okay, no matter which tribe you're from, you are the descendants of Esau. Okay, who is Edom, the entire nation. You get that in Genesis 36. All right, it says, "And his neighbors, and he is not. You will no longer exist anymore." All right. You got something else?
No, that was it.
Okay.
But I actually did have an AI overview definition for the First Amendment.
Okay.
It says the First Amendment protects fundamental freedoms of religion, speech, the press, assembly, and the right to petition the government, ensuring Congress cannot establish a religion or prohibit the free exercise of others, nor can it abridge expression or assembly rights, serving as a cornerstone of American liberties. It says adopted in 1791 as part of the Bill of Rights and prevents government interference with these core activities.
And notice it said religion there too, because another thing we're not ignorant of, once they get everything in place, they want to establish those Noahide laws, okay, that are in the Babylonian Talmud, which has absolutely nothing to do with the scriptures. Isaiah 34:16 says that. You want to grab that?
Yep, this is the book of Isaiah, chapter 34, and verse 16. It says, "Seek ye out of the book of the Lord Yahweh by Shemiah Shai and read."
That's the scriptures, okay? That's the Bible that we work with, the 1611 KJV primarily, okay, which is the Old Testament, New Testament, and the Apocrypha, okay? And the Apocrypha. And we have to make note of that, because the Bible that they mass circulated had just the Hebrew and the Greek, Old Testament and New Testament. You got centuries of history missing with the Apocrypha, okay? And then when you go and read about the crucifixion of Yahushua, his name is written in the, as it says, the Latin, the Greek, and the Hebrew. All three of those languages, okay? Zondervan's Compact Bible Dictionary clearly tells you King James commissioned those 47 scholars to translate from the Latin, the Greek, and the Hebrew. But the one they seem to give everybody and mass produce disregards the Latin. And who spoke classic Latin? It was the Romans. So it's the Catholic Church's fault who took that out. How the hell you get to decide what's canonized and what's not? It's not your book. That's so you can hide stuff. All right. Go ahead.
That was just that definition.
Okay. And go back to that scripture that you read.
Second Measures. Isaiah 34.
Yeah, Isaiah 34. Yeah.
Yeah, finishing off in Isaiah chapter 34 and verse 16, it says, "No one of these shall fail."
And that's the prophecies, okay? And we're seeing that real time right now. You know, this is the, even though we know it's going to get rough, this is an exciting time because we know salvation, as the scripture says, is nearer than what we believe. All right? Everything is happening every day. All these things are judgment every day. You know, Zephaniah 3 and 5 says, you know, he brings judgment every morning. Okay? And that's what's happening. All right? So none of these prophecies are going to fail. You know, like he said, he declared the end from the beginning. His counsel shall stand. That's Isaiah 46 and 10. All right? His word will not return unto him void. Isaiah 55. All right?
Yep, it says, none shall want her mate.
None shall want her mate. Okay? We saw that, man, you know, I don't know him that well. You know, we're fairly, you know, fairly new in the truth. We don't have the whole history. But you got that Captain Tazariak from ISHPK. How the hell are you sitting there debating with a guy and he's talking about the Talmud when you know this scripture? You know? He said, none shall want her mate. Now, there are books that of secular history that back up the scriptures, but that's about it. Not another religious book. All right? And those, what else? Pseudographical books, Enoch, Joshua, and Jubilee. No, that's not what we deal with. You know, it's the Old Testament, New Testament, and it's the authorized King James version. That's also the other key. All right, that's how they get us. You know, you got to remember, we speak a bastardized language, that English language. Okay, and words mean things. You have to go into them. That is a heavy practice. You know. That's just profound within GMS, looking up words, what they mean, you know, etymology of them, going into the history of that word. What did it mean at that time? Okay? So as the authorized King James Version of the Bible, you know, you will see that on the red apocrypha that you can buy separately. It says authorized, so that's key. So that means that the apocrypha was included with the original 1611. All right?
It says, from my mouth it has commanded, and his spirit it hath gathered me.
Okay, and his mouth, who was his mouth? The prophets. Okay, Luke 1, 68 through 70 says he has spoken by the mouth of the prophets since the beginning. And who is it gathering? The elect. All right, the elect of Israel. That's the 144,000 rulers and judges and the innumerable multitude. You know, the 1/3. Okay. That the Lord is coming back for. All right? That's it. All right. So, yeah, this we'll get into the article. This is really about, you know, changing the narrative. And I'll put a link to the article in the description box. You can, you know, read it on at your own leisure as well. And let me see here. I just had it. Here we go. All right. It says, Israeli tech billionaire Shlomo Kramer urges Americans to limit the First Amendment, sparks outrage. It says Shlomo Kramer, the co-founder and CEO of cybersecurity firm Cato Network, sparked outrage online after he urged Americans to limit the First Amendment, arguing that the democratic nations must respond to emerging dangers by controlling online speech before it's too late. No, you don't like being exposed. All right? And that's what it is. Everybody's found you out, damn devils. All right. Says Kramer, a serial entrepreneur who helped found Checkpoint Software and Imperva, told CNBC that artificial intelligence has given authoritarian governments an unfair advantage over democracies that protect free expression. He says, these are his words, "I know it's difficult to hear, but it's time to limit the First Amendment in order to protect it." What's that got to do with you? You're an Israeli. Okay? What are you worried about America for? We know why. All right? Says Kramer said during the interview, he argued that unrestricted speech on social media platforms is fueling polarization and allowing hostile actors to undermine the fabric of society and politics. I cannot believe he said that. Who are you impersonating? Hostile actors? You're hostile right now because everybody knows that you're not the true people of the scriptures. And talk about acting, you know, that's the one thing about Esau Edom. You know, he wants to be everybody else except Esau Edom.
Precept.
You know, you were the Greeks, you were the Romans, you were the Egyptians. Okay? But you don't want to be Edom. But that's what you are. And we're not going to stop telling you that. Go ahead.
And just to back you up real quick, this is Deuteronomy chapter 33, verse 29. It says, "Happy art thou, O Israel, who is like unto thee, O people, saved by the Lord Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai, the shield of thy help, and who is the sword of thy excellency, and thine enemies shall be found liars unto thee, and thou shalt tread upon their high places." So in these last days, man, our enemies, which you can read about our enemies in the book of Psalms, the 83rd chapter, right? Amalek, you know, which is the chief of the nations at this in this current time, right? Edom, which, you know, Amalek being a chief tribe of Edom, right? They're all Edomites. So Esau is the #1 enemy, right, of the Lord Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai and the Israelites. See? And in these last days, all right, the Edomites, beginning with Amalek, they're being found to be liars. See, and it's being exposed that that they're not the true people of the land, that they're not the chosen people of the Lord that the Bible speaks of, that they're not the Israelites. Okay, and they're being found out to be the devil, man.
That's one.
No, that was it today.
Okay, this is the book of Isaiah, chapter 13. Verse 2. Well, actually, I started verse 1. It says, "The burden of Babylon, which Isaiah, the son of Amos, did see." The point in verse 2. It says, "Lift ye up a banner upon the high mountain, and exalt the voice unto them. Shake the hand, that they may go into the gates of a noble." Okay? And who is that high mountain? That's your elites, you know? Beginning with Amalek, you know, who have a drive to get rid of the Israelites. They want that birthright back. Okay? It says, "Exalt the voice unto them." That's what we're doing. Okay? Shake the hand. Anytime you shaking something, you're disturbing it. You know, you're making it unsettled. And that's what you are, and that's what you will be until you go into slavery, according to the scriptures. You know, that's why you want to change the narrative, control the narrative. You know, you get your own history told to you in a language that you beat into us. Okay? And then we going back to your original language, you know, and confirming that. That's your problem. You know, you were part of that confederacy in Psalms 83 to make sure that Israel was of no more remembrance. But see, what you got to understand, Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai allows you to do that. Okay? Because of our transgressions. Remember, he told the prophet Jeremiah in Jeremiah 17:4, "Thou, even thou, have discontinued you from your heritage." All right? And then he came back to Jeremiah's scribe, Baruch, in Baruch 2:30, says, "In the land of their captivity, they shall remember themselves." Okay? So, he took it away from us, and he gave it back to us. That's the issue that you have. And like we said before, you know, in anything you try to do, you know, we can decipher it through the scriptures. That's why you want to change the narrative, okay? But you can't do it, all right? And he says that they may go into the gates of the nobles, and that's what we're doing. But he said, "Lift ye up a banner." What is that banner? This is the book of Psalms, chapter 60, and begin in verse 4. It says, "Thou hast given a banner to them that fear thee, that it may be displayed because of truth." Selah. That banner is this truth. The scriptures. Okay? It's a sign. You know? It's letting you know. You know, and we're displaying it. What's that scripture? Is that Psalms 85:11? the ones that publish it.
Oh, that's Psalm 68.
68 and 11? Yeah, grab that right quick, and then I'll finish up with this.
Yep, this is Psalm chapter 68, verse 11. It says, the Lord gave the word, great was the company of those that published it.
And that company is the prophets. Okay? That's what the Lord told Ezra, when he was in the field with those scribes, rewriting the law. Okay? So many books you keep, so many you give, you publish them. All right? Roughly paraphrase, you can get that in 2nd Ezra 14, I want to say verse 19 on down. All right? Okay? And back to Psalm 60 and 4. Okay, going into that banner, he says, thou hast given a banner to them that fear thee. Okay, who are those that fear? The elect. Okay, the ones who reverence. He's given us this truth, not just the scriptures, but the wisdom along with it. Wisdom of Solomon 1 and 4 says, wisdom will not enter a malicious soul. All right? So it goes on, verse 5, it says, that thy beloved may be delivered, save with thy right hand and hear me. All right? And that word beloved is the meaning of King David's name, David, which is Dawadah in the Hebrew. Okay? So this is talking about the elect, the tabernacle of David, when it says beloved right there. All right? It said that they may be delivered. That's who the Lord is coming back for. I just told you that in Zechariah 13 and 9. He's coming back for the 1/3, the elect. Matthew 24, when the Lord says he's coming back to gather his elect. All right? It says, save with thy right hand, which is Yahweh, and hear me. All right? And then when you go into that word hear, it not only means to listen, it means to obey. All right? When you go into the etymology of it. All right? Get back to the article. All right. It says, according to Kramer, governments and technology companies should take direct control of online platforms and determine who is allowed to speak and how much influence their speech should carry. All right, and that's huge. This right here is going into the famine of the word, okay? It's going into the famine of the word. This is the book of Amos, chapter 8. And Amos 8 and 11. And it reads, behold, the days come, saith Yahweh our power, that I will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread, nor a thirst for water, but of hearing of the words of the Lord. Okay? And those the main social media platform, that we're on, we got YouTube, Rumble, Odyssey, but they have no problem snatching down our videos or taking down whole pages for that matter. Okay, because of the truth, they don't want it out. All right. It says, verse 11, and they shall wander from sea to sea, and from the north even to the east. They shall run to and fro to seek the word of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, and shall not find it. Yeah, when that time comes, they're gonna take us off the streets. You're gonna be looking for the prophets, man. You got people saying it now. We just put a few videos in the last couple of weeks. Even the Christians and rabbis had to admit that GMS is telling the truth. So that's why you got this situation coming out with the First Amendment. They're gonna have to take us off the street, because when you got rabbis admitting that we're telling the truth, they're in trouble, and they know it. All right. There's nothing they could do about it. When they and these are Edomites, all right, finally admitting that GMS has been telling the truth, have never wavered, on anything. All right. It says, and they shall not find it. It says, in that day shall fair virgins and young men faint for thirst. Don't matter how pretty you are, or how strong you are. Ain't nothing you can do. Once that famine of the word hits, Nothing you can do about it. The doors of mercy have been opened. All right, and it's closing right now. This is a clear indicator that it's going to close. You know, you saw where Congress stands with these folks. We know what it takes to change the First Amendment, and then here's the thing. Like I said, the actual process to change it is too lengthy, but that doesn't prevent them from writing a law specific to stuff and passing it, and we know it's going to happen. They have the office of the president, okay? They have the Senate, they have the House, and they have the Supreme Court. So, Jake, you better get right, you know, and first of all, learn the name, you know, and repent. Because this is about to get ugly out here, especially when they take us off the street. You ain't going to be able to find nothing. All the videos are going to be gone, so on and so forth. All right? So, yeah. This is good. This is huge, you know, that First Amendment. But like I said, it's going to cause a whole bunch of ruckus. We talked about that in 2 Ezra 15. All right. Back to the article. He said we need to control the platforms, all the social platforms. Kramer said he proposed a system that would stack, rank the authenticity of every person that expresses themselves online with speech privilege determined by a ranking. And what is YouTube trying to do now? Okay. In order to put a link into the description box, you know, you have to go through this verification process. And one of the options is uploading a video of yourself. You know who we are. You know, you're just trying to connect everything, because this is all going to play a role in that social credit score. Okay? That we know is going to be part of it. So you can't operate in society for telling the truth. All right? It says, he goes on to say, based on that system, Kramer said, authorities should take control over what they are saying. You know, and they're not worried about the average dumb jakes, you know, who are caught up in these celebrities or these MAGAs, you know, thinking that, you know, that Trump and his administration really cares about them. That's clear. You're seeing them online right now crying about stuff. All right? The farmland, losing their DEI benefits, okay? Losing their welfare. You know? Turns out, you know, they were the biggest recipients of all of that. Okay? Not to get off the subject, it was so-called white women. The biggest recipient of DEI. So-called white people, the biggest recipient of welfare and EBT benefits. All right? So when you MAGAites, you know, think you know, doing something against POC or people of color, you know, you really hurt yourself. And nothing you can do about it now. You got to endure this for the next 3 years. All right? It says, back in the article, Kramer framed the proposal as an emergency response to rapidly advancing AI tools that generate fake content faster than governments can regulate them. Hey, that's not going to happen. You all are responsible for the AI. Remember somebody asked AI to draw a picture of what you look like, and it came out to be one of the tiny hats? Yeah. Yeah, they asked AI to draw a picture of what you look like. It was a tiny hat. Okay? Talking about, you know, generate fake content. What do you do? We were talking in camp last night, and the audacity of one of those tiny hat women said, you know, it's I forget, Elder Ayash said it. It's a terrible thing. It's really sad that those Israeli people made us sorry for what we did to their children. So she blamed them for what they were doing. Those people had no weapons or nothing. All right? We see that every day. All right? Or when they were letting it be in broadcast. All right? It says, back in the article, Technology is moving much faster than the political system typically can respond. He said, arguing that technology controls are indeed to stabilize the political system. Now, he's saying this. Wasn't it just a few weeks ago that it was Benjamin Netanyahu paid somebody like $6 million to reprogram AI? That's what he did. $6 million. You know, if I can find that article, I'll put it in the description box. You know, that's what he did. So who's really controlling it? You know, you guys are in control of it. Your own stuff got out of hand. All right, and exposing you. All right, and we know you reprogrammed it because now ChatGPT won't say a damn thing about Edom. Mm-hmm. Yep, they changed that. They're talking about they no longer exist. You know, get out of here. If they no longer exist and you the people of the scriptures, or say you are, then you gotta, you know, who are the people in Obadiah 1 and 18? All right, it's you. Point blank. Period. All right. And the article goes on to say, Kramer contrasted the U.S. with China, which he said maintains a single narrative that protects its inner stability, while democratic countries allow multiple narratives that can be exploited by adversaries. It says Israeli billionaire Shlomo Kramer's New Year's resolution is to eliminate America's First Amendment. Man. He says, I know it's difficult to hear, but it's time to limit the First Amendment in order to protect it. So, yeah. In short, piece of shit. You know, but the article goes on with some comments, and you know, you can read that at your leisure. But that's the gist of it. You know, this is really the beginning of not only of the family of the word, but penalizing people with that social credit score. All right, you got something?
Yeah, this is Isaiah chapter 55 and verse 6. It says, "Seek ye the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, while he may be found. Call ye upon him while he is near." See, ultimately, this scripture right here, it insinuates that there's going to be a time wherein the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, will not be found. As it says, seek him while he may be found. Which is what ultimately we know that this is going to into the family of the word, because the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, he makes his presence known through his servants, the prophets, through these various different video epistles being thrown up, these camp lessons, so on and so forth. So that's how you can be drawn to the Lord, by the teaching of his prophets. Mm-hmm. Okay? They say, verse 7, "Let the wicked forsake his way, and the unrighteous man his thoughts, and let him return unto the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, and he'll have mercy upon him, and to our God, for he will abundantly pardon." And we know ultimately that great forgiveness, or that pardon, is also going to be extended unto the elect in these last days on this side. All right, the rest of Israel is going to get it in the kingdom, but right now, at this current point in time, the Lord is only concerned with his elect. Okay?
That's it? Mm-hmm. All right, I don't have anything else. All right, so with that, we hope this lesson was edifying to the elect body of the nation of Israel. Once again, we're going to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Ra-Kakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well in teaching us this 100% truth. Salutations to them and our fellow Akim who labor in this truth week in and week out on the highways and byways. Also salutations to the hopeful elect of the scattered 12 tribes of Israel, scattered to the four corners of the earth, that be like unto the speckled bird, also known as your Israelite foreigners and your so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. To you, we say Shalom.
Shalom.
Kwam Yasharala.
Kwam Yasharala.
Abab Abal.
Abab Abal.
Shalom. We got next.
Shalom.